Hello everyone. This is Dr.Vineet Kumar Purohit from Mahavir Institute of Technology and Science, Jardin, Pali. I serve in the Department of English. We shall be discussing about human values, a prescribed course for the students of B.TECH first year. Here, we shall be coming to know about the course content, which has been distributed evenly in 5 units. Uh, we shall be discussing unit-wise content over here. The major content of the course is distributed in three concepts. First is the importance of human values. Second is distribution of the course in the various levels. And the third is about the right understanding. So in this way, we shall be coming to know. I would like to tell you, we are starting unit first today, in which we shall come to know about what the human values are, its content, process, self-exploration, natural acceptance, continuity of the happiness, as well as the prosperity, and program to fulfill the human desires. So let's start with the course. First of all, it's very important and significant to know for all of us what the values are. Values basically are supposed to be the notions which are universal for each and everyone and which can be carried forward for everyone, every time, every place, which is sustainable. And again, I repeat, it must be same for an individual or for the mass. So we can understand human values by preparing a list of the desires. This list of the desires will help us that how the things can be required by the human beings and what actually we people are doing with the physical facilities, with the objects, even with the human beings also. So let's have a look at the second slide, which is going to talk regarding the status of the people in the society. What we feel in today's society that is like happening, that we do not actually trust. We are fearful. We have mistrust. We trust only whom we have only blood relationship, or we can say those who are like very close, near or dearer to us. But that is actually the false picture. It is not supposed to be there. In the next slide, I may tell you that what is going on nowadays in our mind, that people are actually running after the success. What do we mean by success? Is it money, any degree, job, or what? So so many actually notions are coming in our mind. I hope the second slide again will help us to know the human values better. This is about the expectation from the education. Today, like whatever is being inculcated by our uh, elders at home in the form of the human values like honesty, truthfulness, etc., etc. That actually gets changed. The entire scene gets changed in our present time. When we are sent to our educational institutes, over there, the goals, the motto, the definition of the success, that gets completely changed. And people actually are nowadays uh, full of money, full of resources, a lot of money, I can say, even though we people are actually in stress. Why? What is lacking behind? So it is basically in this slide, we can see at the last that understanding and learning, that what to do and how to do. I hope in educational institutes nowadays are only taught that how to do, but what to do, that is supposed to come from our inside. So what is that inside? This is what actually we are going to learn over here. In the next slide, I hope again I can elaborate what to do and how to do. See, the current priority. about the learning how to do, that is completely changed. That is about like my gain is others' loss, or we can say others' loss is my gain. People are actually running after money, clothes. These are actually the things where we are focusing towards the skills only skills, like how to do. But the values, human values are going to teach us what to do, what is like correct. But who is going to tell us the correct? The correct is going to be taught, to be learned, to be explored by our insight. Can I have the next slide, please? Here, deciding what to do or what is valuable, the slide is actually showing us many examples. Uh, when one person comes to know that this is the only appropriate thing for me, when he says that or she says that, yes, my insight is saying that, yes, I'm doing correct. Let's say, like, I fought with my friend. Now I just want to be depressed. I shall not have even, the talking terms with him or her. So it is not actually the right solution. What to do, which is valuable, like that is a person, that is a human being, that is connected to me, that is important to me. So I need to decide what is correct. And now, when you're inside your natural acceptance, uh, what is correct, I can say. If you get the reply, that is the proper answer, and accordingly, like we need to go for that. So this is the example that I have actually quoted over here. In the next slide, again, I can say what we people are supposed to do to improvise our human values. In the next slide, please. In our, we can see that the decisions are supposed to be taken by our side. Decisions sometimes can be correct, sometimes it can be wrong also. But when a thing, a notion that comes into our mind that this is the only correct way, that particular thing becomes very much significant, very much universal, and like that. So here, a person must make a list and then start exploring that if the list has been made by the preconditioning, by the beliefs, by the bookish knowledge, or what. So experimentation regarding any notion that is occurring in our mind, that is very, very significant over here to understand human values. Fine, experimentation. Because like this particular activity is going to give us the chance for verification. So we need to know, it's very significant that what we people are doing right today. Let's take an example of technology, advancement of the technology along with the nature. That we are becoming very much enriched, powerful. There is solidarity in the technology nowadays. But are we not harming? Are these advancements not harming to our mother nature? Yes, it is. So it is not a correct move or the action. We need to be advanced, but we need to think about the each and every entity that is existing on this earth under the sun. That plays very important role, and this is what I hope we shall be learning through the course. Now let's have a look towards the course content, the guidelines. Yes, the guidelines, where I hope that is in the next slide. Need I have already explained. After that, the guidelines are there. Yes, it is there. The first guideline regarding this particular course is about universal. That every value can be a notion that becomes the value ultimately when it is verified and experimented. So one particular notion should be applicable, considerable, acceptable by every human being on this earth. not particularly connected with a particular caste or I can say nation. No, nothing like that. A particular notion, whether it is of like your honesty, truthfulness, it must be universal for everyone. Second one is rational. Rashna, the word actually tells us about the logicalization. When we can have the logics also, that notion becomes very stronger and it can be accepted by everybody. Verifiable, like whatever the value that we are, that is actually coming into our mind, if it can be verified, like we can check it, we can experiment it, and after that we need to accept it. So if it is verifiable, it is not based upon the instrument or something like that. No, if you can verify, undoubtedly we can accept it. And the last is actually the value or the notion that takes us towards the harmony, that becomes the, yes, harmony, to be in rules and regulation. That is again the last guideline of the value education. In the next slide, we shall be coming to know about content of the value education. In the content, we shall be coming to know about that how a notion actually gets into force. So over there, four dimensions are there which are supposed to be understood by us. Number one is thought. A thought actually is the beginner, the starter of any action. That is changed into number two, behavior. Whatever actually the thinking one has, that is reflected into behavior. And whatever our behavior, the work is going to look like that. So if it starts with the correctness, righteous attitude, the fourth dimension, that is of understanding and realization, that can be achieved. Otherwise, the people would keep on committing a lot of mistakes. Again, in the content, we shall be reading the four levels. Yes, these four levels are very, very significant. The entire actually the course, particularly unit number second, third, and fourth, will be revolving around these four levels. Number one is individual. The individual level is going to consist the harmony in the self and body. Number two is a family. Here we shall be coming to know about the bhavas, the different bhavas. In the society, we shall come to know about the dimensions, the various dimensions. And the fourth, that is about the nature and existence. We are supposed to have a lot of responsibility towards this. So the nature and existence are also going to play very important, and that becomes ultimately the last level over here. In the next slide, we shall be coming to know about the process. The process of the value education is like very simple, that this is what like we have been discussing for last 10 minutes, that whenever any notion or any which ultimately becomes a value that comes in front of our eyes, that must not be accepted or rejected instantly. First of all, we need to experiment, we need to have a self exploration, we need to know the pros and cons of every notion, of every value. If it is verifiable, if it has some logicalization, if it takes to us towards the harmony, undoubtedly that becomes the process, and that can be achieved, and that becomes the ultimate a value ultimately. So this is what like about the human values. Second slide, which is about the self exploration. We are supposed to read something regarding that, because this content guideline and the process can be very well understood when we start exploring the things. And this is what the course is actually prompting to all of us. Self exploration. Self, it stands for, yeah, we take the topic into parts. Self is basically about ourselves, whereas exploration is about to ponder over, or to look deeper and deeper into something, or to, we can say, search, find out something. And yes, this is what actually we shall be learning over here. So you can check out the slide. It is written The process of the value education, self-exploration. The self-exploration is like basically something must go on in our inside, which will be purified with the help of the natural acceptance. So let me explain the natural acceptance also over here. What is this? This is basically the acceptance of any notion naturally, and that is like very significant. When it's an example over here. When I want to be happy, I need to actually, yeah, it's only a notion. I need to ponder over inside. Do I really want to be happy or I want to be unhappy? The answer is going to be happy. I shall be happy. So what is actually naturally acceptable to me, that becomes the happiness. And we need to get this particular notion into force, and undoubtedly we shall be in the harmony and we shall be very happy. So self exploration is basically a dialogue, a kind of dialogue activity, like what I am and what I want to be. When we start making this kind of the dialogue with us in our inside, it is self exploration. It is not with others, it is with ourselves. So like what I am, yeah, I am actually a very clever and the dishonest guy. What I wanted to be, really, if I wanted to be the same, no, I wanted to be a good person. But am I? So like this particular kind of exploration, action, activity is going to give me the correct answers. And I hope like in this way, the self-exploration can be a guiding lamp to all of us. It may be, it's only a proposal that anybody can go for this. So self-exploration not only provides us this, the dialogue activity, but it helps us to know each other very well, each other very well, like whether it is living thing or the non-living entity, whatever, any person, enemy, nature, everything. It actually helps to make us better. It helps us to be organized, and self-exploration very well helps us to know our real nature. This is actually the basic output of the self-exploration. And again, yes, it also has the content. I hope like that is seen in the next slide. The content of the self-exploration is going to be the desire. Yeah, it is about the process of the value education. Probably like it is there, or maybe in the next slide. No issue. I can teach you over here that the content of the self-exploration is desire and program. The desire is basically, yeah, it is not over there. This is what we are not reading. The desire, that is actually the beginning, as I said in the beginning, that is actually the starting point of any action. The thought, actually the thought process. And when any thought comes into our mind, human mind, we start making the actions. We start planning, we set some strategies, some schedules, and then ultimately that thought, the desire, gets into the force. So this is actually the content. And again, after the content, we move towards the process. And what the process of the self-exploration is, that is similar to process of the human values. I have already expatiated that we are not supposed to accept or reject any notion at the moment. We are supposed to verify, we are supposed to explore, experiment, and then it depends to us whether we are going to reject or select, whether we are going to make it a false statement or the truer statement. That depends, but the longer actually activity that must take place before acceptation or the rejection. So that is the process of the self-exploration. The self-exploration will have the natural acceptance along with it. Yes, that is the thing which is going to open our eyes and take us towards the uh, righteous path instead of the ignorance, instead of the darkness. We'll be moving toward the light of knowledge. So natural acceptance is is something which is unchangeable, which is same with every person, place, time, everywhere, which can be referred like that. So natural acceptance is like very important inside, we can say, the alarm to stop us to commit something wrong. And before actually reading this slide that is actually shown to us, there is one more slide about the happiness and the prosperity. I hope that is going to come after this. So that is also going to help us about the happiness and prosperity. So it's a general question like, what is a happiness? How can we be happy? Yes, happiness is what? Happiness is basically the thing that when I desire for something, I make a program, and when I get, I become very happy. Undoubtedly, yes, that is shown now. So I become very happy about these things. But how long your desires, your desired actually object is going to make you happy? For some time. Next day, like the new clothes, the bike, phones, sometime 10 days, 15 days, 1 day, 30 days. After that, what? Again, we are unhappy. We are talking about the continuous happiness over here. Continuous happiness. So, is it possible for someone to be happy continuously? It's a general question to all of us. Yes, we can be. If we are in harmony, we can be happy. So, again, one thought concept that is supposed to be cleared over here, that when the people talk about the continuous happiness, they talk about the harmony. So we can be, yes, we are having a lot of things. We purchase, we get happy, we cook according to our wishes, but that actually happiness comes for some moments. It is momentary, not everlasting. So what is supposed to be done regarding that? Be in particular harmony everywhere, to be continuously happy. So again, here we need to read about the prosperity also. What is prosperity? The prosperity is like that if one person has ample money, that is a prosperous person. But not, that is really not good. That is really not true. Because a person can be poor, he is deprived of the physical facilities, but he can be, and therefore, like he can be unhappy because he is lacking with the physical facilities. There is another person who has ample money, but again, he is also deprived. Why? He has all the means to make himself happy, but he is unhappy. So is that the prosperity? He is prosperous? No. Third one is like he's prosperous and he shares the things with other. Okay, and he is happy. So like he is following the rules and regulation. We can say the third person is in the harmony because like he is able enough to make himself and others happy because he's sharing. So here we are coming to know about the different newer definitions, that what the happiness is. Happiness is to be in harmony, and what the prosperity is. Prosperity is like to share the things, the material objects with others. So like how can we do this? We need to have a particular program to be happy, to be prosperous. And regarding that, like we are supposed to check out the very first slide, that is known as the master slide, which is having the number 1, 2, 3, the beginning slide. Yeah, that is actually shown to all of us on the screen. Here we can check out, there are actually some squares and the rectangles in an oval. So, uh, like we'll be starting the program to be continuous, happy, and to be prosperous with the bluer, uh, we can say the rectangle that is into red oval. And here it is mentioned animal consciousness. Actually, before understanding the slide, we need to know that what our desires are. When we start making, like it may be a cell phone, a good house, good job, etc., etc., clothes, we can say, yes, shoes. So all what these actually the things are, these are the physical facilities we require. And yes, it is important also. Like we cannot actually imagine our life without water, without food, without clothes. That's why. So it is like very important. And similarly, it is important for the animals also. They also require shelter, love. They also require food. But let's say an animal gets food, what it does, it sits only and starts chewing. And again, when he feels hungry, he ponder over. the food to feed himself up or herself up. But if the condition is same with the human beings, no. Human beings are different. They don't sit. They have the other engagements, assignments, which are to be accomplished. And therefore, uh, we can say we require relationship also. Yes, because like we are the gregarious creatures. We are in society. We want someone. That's why we go for the relationship. But what kind of the relationship? What kind of the relationship? Say we we have many relations, and sometime actually the relationship gets broken up also. Is that the particular relationship? Like, what would happen when the relationship gets broken up? We become depressed or stressed. So like in that meaning, we become unhappy. Is it the correct way to live the life? No. We need to understand the importance of the relationship very well over here, because like this is actually known as the master slide over here. Here we'll come to know about that when we are maintaining our relationship nicely, we can be happy, mutually happy. Okay. And when we start actually using the physical facility according to the need, this is going to bring the mutual prosperity. Mutual prosperity. But how would it come? Is it so easy? Can it actually come in one day? No, that's not possible. Regarding that, we need to actually develop our right understanding, right, correct understanding. And what is that? That comes through the human natural acceptance. That comes through natural acceptance. That comes through the self exploration. I give you an example over here that how the relationships are important for the human beings. That two friends, one is coming from the class, another is from the corridor. Another is actually preoccupied with some problem. That's why he couldn't actually see his best buddy coming from the class. So the guy who was coming from the class started feeling avoided, and he actually became depressed, nervous. But when he took an initiative and settled the things, then the guy who was already preoccupied with some problem, he said, yes, I had this problem and that's why I couldn't see you. And the things actually got okay. So why? The guy who was coming from the class, he actually got offended. He was nervous, depressed, full of stress. Why? This is actually not the relationship. We need to trust. What kind of trust? This is what actually we are going to read later on. But if we have this kind of understanding without the clarification, if we try to understand others, that is basically the right understanding. This kind of the answers are going to come from the natural acceptance only. So relationship is going to bring us, give us, sorry, mutual happiness, and the correct use with the right understanding of the physical facilities are going to give us the mutual prosperity. So in this way, like number one, right understanding is like very important for us. That is going to make your relationships good along with the physical facilities. But see, in today's scenario, people are actually pointed towards the dark blue, or we can say this royal blue square that is in the red oval, not in blue oval, the bigger oval, no, the red oval that is indicating about animal consciousness. If we are, as I say, that animal after having feeded himself or herself, they just sit, they are not having the other engagements, but we human beings have. So if we are actually concerned towards the physical facility, like the accumulation of the material objects, then we are animals only. But if we move towards the relationship from the right understanding, then it is going to be our transformation. We can see the black arrow above the that particular label of the animal consciousness that moves towards the purple three lines description of above, that is human consciousness. So when we have the right understanding about the physical facility and the relationship, that is our human consciousness. Otherwise, like most of us are undoubtedly living in animal consciousness. So this was about the first unit. Thank you really very much.